The heyday, so to speak, of serial murder was in the 70s and 80s. We had far more serial killers back then than we do now. And evidence of that is the fact that when we see documentaries and movies about serial killers, they focus on Bundy and Gacy and the legacy killers of the past. There's really no high profile.
Okay, John, go ahead. What I tell you is what I know is fact.
I'm a power person. I enjoy power. Nobody else had the guts to pull off what I pulled off. I outsmarted you again.
Police today found 6 more bodies
under the home of suspected killer John Gacy.
Well, you can be walking down the street, and if Gacy lay eyes on you, you have now become his next victim.
I know society will never be able to forgive me. I know the families of the victims will never be able to forgive me for what I have done. Your Honor, it is over now.
Alrighty, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode here of the Murder Podcast Show. I'm your host, of course, Tim. And alongside of me, we have Criminology Chris.
Hello, everybody.
Now that we're live over here, and we have Classroom Jackie.
What's up?
Over there too as well. We got a little bit of a better setup now, so hopefully things are working better. We'll fine tune a couple things. So yeah, we're gonna get things started here. We are talking about, as you saw, we were hyping things up on the Facebook and all that all week. We're gonna be talking about the infamous serial killer Ed Gein, which I'm sure a lot of people know about him. And for those of you that don't, man, you're in for a treat with this one, because Ed Gein inspired quite a few movies. The biggest one, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, was one of the well-known ones that he, were made after him. Changed a few things and stuff too, but so anyways, Classroom Jackie, I know she did her facts and research, and before we begin, we have social media pages, so follow us, Facebook, Instagram.
We have a Facebook, Instagram. We will have TikTok as of tonight. We have our YouTube, and we have the official fan group as well on Facebook.
Yes, so follow those, and subscribe to our YouTube channel here as well, of course. Then you'll get notified every time that we go live, so you'll be well aware of it. So we appreciate all the new people that have followed us this past week. We jumped up quite a bit, I think.
We did. We went from 62 last Saturday. We're up to 100 on the podcast page. And then in our fan page, as soon as we hit 100, we're going to do a contest for a free shirt for our merch that we will release this week.
Oh, cool. So yeah, we're going to be doing the contest. That's going to be really sweet. So yeah, let's try to keep getting the likes and all that up there, shares and stuff. Get us out there. We are on all the major streaming platforms. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and there's some more too out there. So just go to them and search us, and you will find us. So let's get things started. I know Classroom Jackie has her facts here ready to go for a lot of this. So the infamous serial killer Ed Gein, just a little bit of a quick background here. He was born August 27th, 1906, and then he died July 26th, 1984. If I remember too, I mean, this guy's known for a lot of stuff, but Jackie will end up telling you a lot too. He was infatuated and pretty much obsessed with his mom, if I'm not mistaken.
He was the definition of a mother's boy.
Yeah. So, and that's putting it, pretty calm there. But so, yeah, he, all this took place. This was in, was it in Texas or no?
No, it was in Wisconsin.
Wisconsin. Okay. Yeah. I'm thinking of the movie, the chainsaw and stuff. So yeah, go ahead, Classroom Jackie, go ahead and get us going. She'll kind of give you the background and the facts.
So you mentioned that he inspired a lot of movies and novels. The original one he inspired was the original Psycho, which was in 1957, I believe. And then he inspired the adaptation of the movie. But this was the one that stuck out to me. He inspired a musical called Ed Gein, the musical, that was in 2010.
Did he really?
Yes.
Jeez.
And you can find it on YouTube, and I do not recommend watching it. It is so bad. So bad.
Maybe we'll have to share a link for that at
Uh,
some point.
Maybe down the road we will.
Yeah.
But when Ed Gein was born, he already had a sibling. His sibling's name was Henry. Unfortunately for both Henry and Ed, his mother did not have the nurturing instinct in her. She wanted to have a girl. After she had Henry, she was disappointed, didn't care, didn't love him, didn't show him any of the nurturing side. When she ended up having Ed, she took okay, I'm going to take care of this thing. I'm going to see what happens. But it was in a totally messed up situation in the way that she did it. She didn't nurture him. She just told him everything was bad, swore off girls, stay away from girls, everything. Ed had a loving relationship with his mother, whereas Henry hated her because of the way she treated them. When Ed found out that Henry hated her, it is believed that he killed his own brother and set a fire to their yard, saying that was to kill the vegetation. So when his brother was reported as missing and found in the yard, they assumed he died of a heart attack, but the whole top of his head was bruised. What investigators said may have happened is that his mom may have said something to Ed to conspire to make him kill him after she found out the feelings.
Oh, jeez.
But that would be the first unofficial murder that he did, and that was in in I don't remember what year. Unfortunately, forgot to grab that.
Classroom Jackie forgot to grab the part of the notes. That's it. That's it.
With those facts, though, do you know how many times Ed could have been caught before all of this happened?
No. Oh, I'm sure a bunch.
About 3 times. One of them was a 16-year-old boy was at his house because everybody assumed Ed was slow and slight and funny, as he only had an 8th grade education and he was so kept away from the world and isolated that they just assumed he was simple-minded. Didn't take anything he said seriously. So when he had these 16-year-olds that were his friends, he showed them 2 preserved heads in jars. Following the first disappearance, he made a comment when people would talk about it, saying, with a giant smile on his face, saying, "Oh yeah, she's up at my farm. I picked her up in my pick-em-up truck." He could have been caught right there. Right there.
People just didn't take him seriously.
No.
Jeez, oh man. Well, we kind of talked about it last week too, though. Things were different back then. Times were different, you know. I'm sure if that were to happen today, they'd be jumping all on that.
Do you know he only has 3 confirmed kills? He has 6 suspected ones, but one of them he was completely cleared from. He took 2 lie detector tests and passed them. And then he mutilated 9 bodies to make all of the furniture and every single thing that he had.
How do you pass a lie detector test? I don't know, Chris. You got any input on that? I mean, I'm not saying Chris takes them and passes them and lies and all that. That's not what I'm getting at here. But, you know, criminology Chris is, if you're new to the show, when he was in college quite a few years back, he took a lot of courses on that stuff. He's not a professional, all that, so don't quote everything he says and, you know, look it up and all that. But, I mean, I've heard there's possibly ways you can pass it. Of course, you know, I'm sure the test was different then as it is now. It's probably a lot, you know, more hard now to pass it or to pass even if you are lying. But I don't know. Do you have to like get in your own mind?
Well, I think part of it, honestly, you know, in Ed Gein's case, like down the road, I mean, for anybody that doesn't understand what he had done, because we kind of jumped in right into the middle of the story. I mean, this guy, he had I mean, we'll get into more of the childhood details and things like that, but down the road, when he actually when he was found to have killed these people, they found that this guy he didn't even really have a firm grasp on what he had actually done. In some cases, he actually admitted to waking up partially through digging up bodies, and he had no idea that he was doing it, and he just kind of started putting the body back in the ground as he was digging it up. So it shows that this guy, his subconscious was, acting in a certain manner that he may not have been 100% aware of exactly what he was doing. And I think that speaks to the lie detector test situation where, maybe you could pass a lie detector test, but quite honestly, like, you'd have to wholeheartedly believe that you're telling the truth in order to do so. Because there's parts of your body that'll react to that. I mean, you have catecholamines in your face and your nose and your ears and your skin cells that heat up, and your nose itches, your ears itch. When people lie, they have tells. And that's the reason why they have tells, because they actually have a physical reaction to stress and to actually telling lies. So there's a possibility that when this guy got around to taking a lie detector test, if he did, he may have no idea the extent of what he had truly done. He said he had moments of clarity and moments of reality, but those were obviously few and far between. Unfortunately, I think a lot of his reality ended probably back when his mother passed away when he was a child.
Yeah, I'm sure that really affected him big time. So yeah, I mean, we kind of talked a little bit about that last week when we were saying that some people don't even realize what they're doing. They kind of black out and hit that mindset. So the stuff that was really crazy to me, and I don't want to jump too far ahead, but just Jackie had mentioned it, the things that he would make out of body parts and skin and stuff. That's what separates this guy, makes him different from traditional killers, is that he was taking what's left of his victims and making, lampshades and bedposts. And I'll wait till we get into all that. But Jackie, if you want to give us a little bit of his childhood history, kind of growing up from the beginning here, so we can kind of.
Yeah. So, like you mentioned, when Ed was born, he was born on August 27th, 1906, to his parents, which were Augusta Wilhelmina Gein, and his father, which was, I am really failing this right now. His father was, my bad. So for some reason, his father's name is not in here, which is silly. But when he was born, his parents, their marriage was just a convenience. It honestly didn't make sense. His father went through so many hardships in his life that he didn't believe in love, faith, anything like that. Augusta, on the other hand, was highly religious. Like, worship church, everything, cleanliness is next to godliness, made sure her kids followed that, and ingrained it in their heads to stay away from women, everybody. Unfortunately for him, with those things that we said, where he didn't get that nurturing type of relationship, his life spiraled as a child.
Gein's father's name was George.
Thank you.
Oh, it's George. All right. We're going to give Classroom Jackie another pass. That's twice now. So we'll do a poll this week for how many of you are upset that she's disappointed us twice tonight.
Do I have to sit in the corner if they said that I was bad?
Yeah, with the Duns cap. She's got to
Okay.
sit over there.
I got to miss one episode. So his father ended up being an alcoholic. And he was an alcoholic long before the kids were born. That only got worse as they got older and moved around multiple times. They used to have a grocery store, ended up selling that to move to a 155-acre field in Plainsfield, Wisconsin, which is also how Gein got his nickname, the Butcher of Plainsfield, or the Plainsfield Ghoul. When they moved, they did live in, one point, his dad lived in La Crosse, Wisconsin, and he was a carpenter, tanner, and a firefighter. They owned that grocery store, moved to the farm, sold all of that, and then became permanent residents. Gein's father was a very violent alcoholic who beat both of the sons. He would hit Ed so hard on the head that he would have ringing in his ears all the time. I know occasionally if you get that, like it's uncomfortable. I couldn't imagine living with it.
No.
Augusta took advantage of the farm's isolation by turning every single outsider or person who came round away from them so they couldn't influence the sons or the family. Gein only left the house to attend school. Outside of it, he spent most of his time doing chores on the farm. Gein was shy. Classmates and teachers remembered him as having strange mannerisms, such as seemingly random laughter as if he were laughing at his own personal jokes. Whenever Gein was punished by Augusta, whenever he tried to make friends or family acquaintances. Despite the poor social development, Gein did fairly well in school and only passed to 8th grade, but his favorite subject was reading. He absolutely enjoyed it.
All right. It definitely wasn't mine, but, each is their own. Now, I know it was in the Texas Chainsaw, and I know, they've changed a lot of stuff around and all that. But his dad used to go into chili cook-offs, and I don't know if that really happened or if that was just part of the movie or not.
From what I saw, I didn't see that.
Okay.
But he did pick up his dad's passion for tanning, which tanning, like leather, like hides, things like
okay.
those.
I thought he was going to a tanning bed.
No.
I'm thinking like, man, they got a tanning bed back then?
Yeah.
I
Damn.
didn't think that was invented. Man.
There's Ed laying out in the tanning bed,
But he picked up his skills for carpentry and tanning and was really good at it, unfortunately. And I put it unfortunately because of the things that he did and built.
Okay.
The perfect example of the impacts of TV on the human body.
Now,
he's going to be here all night, folks.
Hey.
Gein's father did end up dying of heart failure at the age of 66 on April 1st, 1940. Gein and his brother Harry began doing odd jobs around town to cover the living expenses as well as maintain the farm.
Well, and also, Ed's dad, I mean, for what it's worth, prior to his death, this guy was an intensely depressed human being. He was an emasculated, just shell of a human being. He used to sit around all day and do nothing. He just was. The mother was the working party in that family. She was she was the brains behind the operation. He was just, like I said, he was just a shell of a human. And I believe he actually, part of the story, he actually assaulted the mother at one point in time, didn't he?
He did. And then she ended up telling him that he can no longer go to work or do anything and told him basically, you are to stay here and watch the children.
Yeah. So, I mean, she certainly wore the pants. But.
Yeah. Yeah, wow. And that's, I know, yeah, his dad used to, if I remember correctly, because it's been a little while too since I've done a lot of looking into with Ed Gein. I know I failed. But I know that his dad used to force him to do a lot of that stuff and push him to, tell him, go out there and go get that girl, boy, go get that. And, and I think a lot of times his dad was, and he was also mentally ill too, if I remember correctly.
And a big alcoholic.
Yeah. So, it's crazy. It's kind of like what we were talking about last week, that a lot of it has to do with how these guys they're upkeeping when how they were raised growing up, and I'm not saying that's any reason why he should have did what he did, but I don't think that it helped because he wasn't all there,
It was the same thing we talked about last week, in regards to that nature versus nurture thing. I mean, you could be born a certain way, and who knows? Maybe Ed Gein, maybe he was born, maybe he was a normal guy. Maybe he could have been a normal guy, or maybe he was born initially with a whole host of issues that didn't manifest until later on in his life. But obviously, like you just said, like the environmental impacts on him certainly probably it had to have driven the majority of the direction in his life, especially with his relationship with his mother.
Yeah, I'm sure that definitely didn't help. So yeah, continuing on.
So after his father's death, his brother Henry ended up dating a divorced mother of two and planned to move in with her. He was worried about his brother's attachment to their mother and often spoke ill of her around Gein, who responded with shock and hurt. And remember, I brought into the Gein's brother was found dead when they were burning vegetation.
Yeah.
That was May 16th, 1944. Apparently, Henry had been dead for some time when they finally found him in the field, but the cause of death again was heart failure since he had not burned or injured otherwise. Eventually, they finally looked into it. Police dismissed the possibility of foul play, and the coroner later listed his cause of death as asphyxiation. But he had all those bruises to his head and face.
Well, even when the cops showed up, like, you know, Ed actually led the cops directly to where Henry was located. It wasn't like they had to search around for him. And he just said, "Hey, oh yeah, hey, check this out. This guy's over here. He's got problems." And yeah, he might have bumped his head and fell in the field and died from breathing smoke.
Yeah. Jeez.
If that doesn't scream, I killed my brother, here it is.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's there's a whole, and there's a bunch of pictures too if you follow us on social media that Jackie had posted this whole week on and off too, of the house and crime scene and some of the different things that he had created using flesh and bones and stuff. I'm sure you have a list of different things too that we'll get to, but go ahead.
I do. So now after his death, they did eventually investigate and question him when he was being questioned about one of his victims. What he said about Henry with the cause of death was, it is possibly and likely that the cause was the Cain and Abel aspect of this case, where Cain killed his own brother.
Oh, yeah.
Type thing. After Henry was deceased, Gein and his mother were now alone. Augusta suffered a paralyzing stroke after Henry's death, and Gein devoted himself to taking care of her. When she was in the hospital, he was there 24/7, holding her hand, babying her, taking care of her almost like a child.
Jeez.
Mm-hmm. In 1945, he later recounted he and his mother visited a man named Smith, who would live nearby to purchase some straw for the farm. According to Gein, Augusta witnessed Smith beating a dog. A woman who was inside the Smith residence came out to yell at him and tell him to stop, but he didn't. Augusta was extremely mad and upset at the scene. However, it wasn't at the dog being killed. It was at the woman at the house because she was unmarried and was not related to Mr. Smith.
How dare she?
Yeah.
It's quoted that she called that Smith's harlot. She eventually suffered another stroke, which ended up being tragic to her health, and she deteriorated and passed away December 29th, 1945, at the age of 67. So now Gein is left alone to his own mind, his own devices, in this farmhouse, 155 acres by himself.
Without mom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He ended up... Uh-oh.
All right. Well, the camera disconnected, but that's all right. We'll keep going.
He ended up boarding up the bedroom, the living room, the parlor, any room that his mother went to, including the upstairs, to preserve it perfectly, to have that memory of her. And the mutilation was because he wanted to be as close as he could to his mother.
Jeez.
Trying to fix this.
Oh, no, it's fine. We'll just go without the footage. Not a big deal.
I know everybody's upset they can't see me now.
Yeah, everybody's upset they cannot see Criminology Chris. You know, he was looking so fine tonight.
Camera adds 50 pounds.
He was definitely looking like a sex god tonight. But that's putting it lightly.
So Gein was able to hold on to the farm and earned money from from odd jobs. While the rest of the house became increasingly squalid, these rooms remained pristine, which was the boarded up rooms, living room, parlor, bedrooms, the whole upstairs. There was a small room off of the kitchen that Gein would sleep in, and that was considered his bedroom. Around this time, he became interested in reading pulp magazines and adventure stories, particularly those involving cannibalism and Nazi atrocities. Specifically, he's the coach.
Classroom Jackie's asking for some
He
speech advice.
He knows how to pronounce German names better than I can.
Oh, well, we learned something new about criminology Chris. He can speak German names. Okay.
I would assume it's probably, it looks like Elsie, but I could be completely mistaken.
We apologize if we butcher this because we don't know
That's
how to
all
say
right.
it.
I'm sure Ed is not here to yell at us now anymore.
Now, this Elsie, as we're going to call it, who had been accused of selecting tattooed prisoners for death in order to fashion lampshades and other items from their skin, which led to his fascination of all of the furniture.
That's crazy.
Now, we're going to start getting into the crimes, and I'm going to put a small, like, hey, red flag, trigger warning type thing, because some of them are pretty gruesome.
All right. Yeah. So we're going to trigger warning here going further ahead here. So just an FYI, if you have a weak stomach or anything, you might not want to listen to the rest of this, which I real quick want to make a shout out. One of our #1 fans there. He's got the #1 crown there on him, but David Wilson, he's yes, I had to pronounce it like that because I feel like it. So David, you're awesome. Thanks for bringing us a whole bunch of people. So go ahead, classroom.
Also, hi, because that's my dad.
Yes, that is classroom Jackie's dad, and that's David. So
we're going to start with his first victim. The first one that was confirmed was on the morning of November 16th, 1957. 58-year-old Plainfield hardware store owner Bernice Warden disappeared. The hardware store's truck was seen driving out from the rear of the building around 9:30 in the morning. The store saw few customers the entire day. Some residents believe that it was because of the deer hunting season. Now, Bernice's son went into the deputy's office of Warden's son, Deputy Sheriff Frank Warden, entered the store around 5 p.m. to find the cash register open and bloodstains on the floor.
Yeah, I believe someone spoke to somebody across the street. I guess didn't the son come home? I believe, and his mother was the one that was running the store, and I believe the son came home from hunting, because this is one of those towns where, like, hunting season determines everything. Like,
yeah,
stores close, schools close, everything stops because and every male in the town had a gun and was out in the woods. So I think the son came home and spoke to somebody across the street from the store, and heard that those unusual things had happened and that the truck had left. He thought it was very unusual. He couldn't understand why that would be the case, and that's when, I believe, as you mentioned, like, I think he ended up entering the store and noticing that there was blood and things like that, and ended up going and contacting the sheriff. And if Classroom Jackie points at my microphone one more time.
So what happened
easy
was
in the studio now.
Bernice told her son, who was the deputy sheriff, that Ed was supposed to come back that morning to get a gallon of antifreeze. So he was the last one that was in the store, and the last receipt that she wrote was for that antifreeze.
Okay.
He ended up coming back in to look at a gun, saying that he wanted to upgrade his. She walked away to look out the window. He pulled out bullets from his pocket and shot her in the back of the head.
Yeah, so he took bullets into the store under the assumption or knowledge that he was going to make this happen. Like, he knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
When he went in there. Now, whether or not he was in the right frame of mind, or whether or not he had planned this whole thing out, is questionable. But he had to have. Either that, or he wouldn't have asked to see a specific caliber of weapon when he had the shells.
Yeah. Yep.
That evening, Gein was actually arrested at a Plainfield grocery store, and the Warshar County Sheriff's Department searched the Gein farm. Warden's body was this decapitated body was found in the shed on Gein's property. It was hung upside down by her legs with a crossbar at her ankles and ropes on her wrists. The torso had been dressed out like a deer. Warden had been shot with a .22 caliber rifle, and mutilations were made after her death. Searching Gein's house, authorities also found, and this is where that trigger warning is coming in,
Okay.
a whole human bone and fragments, a wastebasket made out of human skin, a human skin covering several chairs, human skulls mounted on bedposts, female skulls, some with the tops sawn off, bowls that were made from skulls, a corset made from a female torso skinned from the shoulders to the waist, leggings made from the human leg skin, masks made from the skin of female heads. Mary Hogan, which was another one of his victims, they found her face mask in a paper bag and her skull in a box. Bernice Warden's entire head was in a burlap sack and her heart in a plastic bag in front of Gein's pot-belly stove. They found 9 vulvas in a shoebox,
Jeez.
a young girl's dress, and the vulvas of 2 females judged to have been about 15 years old, a belt made from female human nipples, which I did find a picture of that, and it is just as disgusting as it sounds.
Oh my gosh. I got nothing on that one. That's how do you even think of making this stuff? I mean, that puts a whole new meaning behind the word porn. You know?
And who in their right mind thinks that nipples would make a good belt? I mean,
Yeah.
why wouldn't you use something like that's, I don't know, long or something? Use an intestine or something like that. But I mean, take something that's small and round and be like, that's gonna be a belt. Like you didn't go to carpenter school, pal. Like this wasn't something you were meant to do.
How many nipples do you think it took to make that belt, though?
It depends on how many, notches you need.
Right. Yeah.
Depends, I guess, on how big you are.
I mean, yeah, Ed Gein was a pretty skinny guy, so hopefully less nipples than it would probably require in order to go around someone as like myself.
It's confirmed that he mutilated 9 bodies in graves. So there's 18 nipples right there. And then the 3 victims. So
Maybe
there's 21.
There's a possibility that there could have been people with 3 nipples. So,
True. You can't put it
Yeah, I
past
mean, it is
anybody.
the 50s. So they also found 4 noses, a pair of lips that were a window shade drawstring, and a lampshade made from skin on a human face. Fingernails from female fingers. He also made a necklace, which we've seen. And if you look at one of the masks that he made to try and fit into his mom's body, pretty much, it looks just like the Michael Myers mask. It is
That's crazy.
crazy.
Yeah, I forgot that. Yeah, he wore a lot of the people's faces and stuff. One thing I noticed with everything that you just listed is that it's almost like he had some sort of infatuation with skulls. Everything was like skulls. A lot of it, not everything, but a lot of it,
He actually had a huge fascination. A couple of the reasons the victims he picked reminded him of his mother. So he would also go into those graveyards and dig up the bodies and the skin of those who reminded him of his mother because he actually wanted to be inside her.
Oh man.
Yeah, so his one of his bigger ambitions was to create a suit of a female. That way he could crawl inside of it and become his mother. So
which is why the movie Psycho was inspired by him, because remember, Norman Bates, his mom, he kept her dead around in the basement, cellar, and he would do her voice and stuff. And I remember being little when I first saw that, not like real young, but I remember thinking that his mom was still alive because the way he did her voice until the very end at the last scene when he's in the cell, remember, and he's doing the voice going back and forth. And that was like, oh my gosh, you mean his mom wasn't alive,
So along that lines, he did end up digging his mother's body up after she died and taking it back to the house. He kept her there.
Jeez.
They,
Yeah.
they said that he actually had uh, part of the fun criminology part. Here we go.
Criminology, Chris.
Everybody. I guess he had a. They said he had an Oedipus complex, which is like a Freudian psychoanalytic, kind of thing where the basically he had. They say he had sexualized his relationship with his own mother, which made him very jealous, or tends to make a person very jealous. One of the parent of your own sex, but it draws you to the parent of the opposite sex. So, due to this, I mean, she, as Jackie was saying earlier, in addition to what she said, she held back Henry and Ed and made them promise to remain virgins. Um, and actually there was an issue or an instance where I think he was 12 years old, and he was doing things to himself, and she actually grabbed a hold of him by his genitals and actually said, like, this is the curse of man. Which, I mean, if that doesn't screw you up for life, I don't know what will.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know? So there were some interactions there that were obviously far beyond what we would consider to be acceptable. Interactions with your guardians, but considering that happening and his relationship with his mother, I think as it went down the road, he ended up developing quite a connection with his mother, which once again just played into all the rest of it.
When she died, they actually said that he lost his best friend and his one true love about his mother dying.
Yeah. So he had. Yeah, there was some sort of. There was definitely beyond a love that you naturally have for your mom. There was something beyond that. That really just messed with him.
Yeah, I don't think they actually had. I couldn't see anywhere where they said that there was any kind of actual like sexual abuse or anything like that.
Yeah.
But bad enough, right? I mean,
Yeah.
If you just real quick for our fans, if you go to the Facebook page, I did just share a couple of pieces of the evidence that were found and photographed.
Oh, okay, cool.
You will not see any of these things now in modern times. After the evidence was collected in these pieces of furniture, they were taken to the state crime lab. They were photographed and properly disposed of, meaning they burned them all. So that way they could never be around or seen again.
So they didn't even keep, because I know nowadays they keep a lot of that, stuff. They keep it locked up in like a safe. They hang on to it, evidence for a while. So they didn't even keep a lot of that stuff. Wow.
No, they burned it out of respect to the victims, is what from everything that I gathered, so that way no one else could see it or be forced to deal with that. But if you go to Tennessee, you can see one of Ed Gein's teeth in his actual postcard in handwriting.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. Chris and Jackie were telling me about that. They've been to this. What's the name of it again?
The Alcatraz True Crime Museum.
Yeah, which is really, really cool. I'd like to
Alcatraz
check that
East
out.
Crime Museum.
And they took some really cool pictures of some different things. Bundy's, Beatles there,
Yeah.
and I mean, there's just all kinds of this crazy,
They had
artifacts
John
and stuff.
Wayne Gacy's clown suit.
Yeah.
A whole bunch
There's
of neat stuff.
bite marks from Dahmer.
Yeah, and there's whose teeth was in there again? You guys were saying, or tooth or something?
Ed Gein, he had to have a tooth removed, and he wrote a postcard to his friends, the only two people he still had contact with, and sent them the tooth as
Mhm.
well as the postcard. So that's there too. We'll attach a picture of it later.
Oh, okay, yeah, we'll definitely. So yeah, look for that on the Facebook page eventually. That's crazy. But that'd be a pretty cool place I'd like to check out one day for sure.
Oh, it is worth it. We've gone there 2, 3 times now. You always see something new. They always have a changing display.
That's cool.
We've even seen OJ's Bronco.
Oh gosh, yeah. Nicole. Well, that's what I would name a white, Bronco if I had one. But sorry, I would have to name it Nicole. Anyways, um, so then I'm just kind of like looking ahead here a little bit. So his trial was on November 21st, 1957, and he was arraigned on one count of first-degree murder. He pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity, of course, which I know we talked about that last week too, which I think this is one of those where I know a lot of these guys, killers and stuff, they try to plead that just so they can go to a mental facility and not have to be behind bars in prison. But this truly, I believe, and that's what we were not opening. We were not opening bottles of champagne in here. We do apologize. That would be criminology Chris. To calm his nerves, he has to shoot bottle caps in the room. So, anyways, though, this is one of those cases where I truly do believe that and I think that's what the outcome was. He ended up getting that, and he ended up going to a mental facility because I truly do believe that this is what he should have pleaded. I mean,
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, really, at the end of the day, I mean, is there really so? You could have a discussion all day long about whether or not this was his fault, and he was a monster. The guy was a monster. Why was he a monster? Was it his fault? Did he really understand what he was doing? I mean, did he really have a psychotic break when his mother passed away that opened the door to a host of disgusting things that he never might not have been capable of until she passed away? But um, did he do it out of anger or spite or it wasn't like a crime of passion or something like that? And you know, so really, was it his fault? I don't know. But like you said, I think that's the right move. Honestly, that guy needed to be locked up. I don't care where, but he certainly needed mental assistance. That would probably be a lot more beneficial to him as a human being than being just locked in a cell. And did he deserve a nasty, disgusting cell to sit in the rest of his life? Absolutely. But you can't right mind tell me that this guy was just 100% fully aware of what he did and that he was just truly responsible, him alone. You gotta blame his environment and his upbringing on this, as well.
yeah. And I wonder how that made the families of the victims feel.
I didn't see anything on that, but when Gein was interviewed after all of the murders and everything and he confessed, he did say that he blames every single thing on his mother, as she controlled every single aspect of his life and environment and pretty much smothered him to be a mother's boy. So he had no real understanding of the outside world. Plus, he only had an 8th grade education.
But so it's weird to me because he's so in love with his mom, but yet he's blaming all this on his mom. That doesn't make any sense to me,
Yeah, and it kind of sounds like it came from like a psychiatrist or somebody saying, "Hey, this isn't your fault. This was your mom's fault."
Yeah, it had to. And that's funny that you mentioned that because I'm reading here that in 1968, doctors determined Gein was mentally able to confer with counsel and participate in his defense. There was a trial that began on November 7th, 1968. It lasted 1 week. A psychiatrist testified that Gein had told him that he did not know whether the killing of Warden was intentional or accidental. And they also told him while he examined a gun in the Warden's store, back when we were talking about that before, the weapon was aim it at her.
But the weapon couldn't discharge when there was no bullets. He had to physically put the bullets in there.
Yeah, yeah. Um, this whole thing is, crazy. Going back to he was diagnosed schizophrenia, found mentally competent, thus unfit for trial. Gein was sent to Central State Hospital for the criminally insane maximum security facility, and later transferred to Mendota State Hospital, Madison, I guess. So I don't know. It's weird to me that we can't find nothing on the families of the victims and what's their input. Did they ever get closure, from him just,
I'm sure the three confirmed victims got closure after he got arrested and they found the bodies and everything like that. I'm not sure the graves that he mutilated and robbed, which he did over 30 times. So there's 30 different graves that he robbed.
Yeah, did they ever actually disclose who those people were? And maybe they didn't. Out of what have a media explosion.
yeah. It says he was only tried for one murder.
I do know that he did eventually lead the police to 3 of the graves that he remembers robbing. They found one with just the woman's torso, one without the woman's legs, and one that had nothing but a couple bones left in it.
Jeez. Yeah, there's so much going on here. Try to wrap my head around it all, It's just a lot of it confuses me too, because what we were talking about, he's got this infatuation and love for his mom, and then it's just like, oh, well, I blame all this on my mom, but I'm in love with my mom. It's like, well, wait a minute. It's like what you just said, Chris. It's almost like a psych person was kind of getting in his head. Well,
Yeah.
tell him this.
Yeah.
If you tell him
Right.
this, then it looks a little bit better.
Well, he didn't do it out of hatred for his mother. He did it out of love for his mother, which shows that can manifest itself in positive and, or in this case, incredibly negative, disgusting ways. I think honestly, a lot that had to do with it was the timing of that psychotic break, followed up by his infatuation with, that aforementioned Nazi-related, material that I think had been kind of sexualized and that kind of thing. Like he got into the dark side, and it kind of took him down a rabbit hole. I think the combination of that, his mom dying and everything, combined with what he was watching online and listening to, and just his influences, and having all that time alone with himself, just unfortunately, like I said, manifested in a deep, dark way.
Yeah. Classroom Jackie's got her hand raised.
Oh no, I'm waiting patiently.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure. Go ahead.
So Gein initially confessed to visiting as many as 40 graves in 3 local cemeteries between the years of 47 and 52. One of the main reasons he did that was to, quote, build a woman's suit so that he could become his mother.
Yeah.
To literally crawl into her skin. He did deny having any kind of relations, sexual or physical, other than to pretty much mutilate the bodies. With the bodies because they smelled too bad. But
yeah, I'd say so.
I could not imagine the horror or the way that house smelled.
Gosh. Yeah, that's I couldn't imagine. I was thinking about that a little bit ago. I couldn't even imagine being an investigator and having to go into that crime scene.
Could you even imagine? I mean, trying to go home after that.
Oh yeah.
Trying to go home and see your family, or trying to sleep for the next week. I mean,
yeah. Heaven forbid your wife wants to show you her nipples after that, because you're going to be thinking of the belt. I mean, let's be honest here. Put them away. Put them away.
Every time you reach over to turn a lamp off, you're going to barf. I mean, it's just it just won't go well for you. You know,
No.
I mean, having to like when they were processing that crime scene, just those poor guys that stumbled upon that material and having to go back and secure the crime scene and go in there and try to figure out, open up boxes. I mean, behind every door, in every box, in every drawer of every chest, of every dresser. I mean, it would be just a petrifying experience to have to deal with that. You got to be a special type of person. Kudos to our law enforcement and/or forensic and all those guys that do that kind of stuff, because it takes a special type of person to be able to digest that kind of material and still be able to operate as a normal human being.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, just like you said, I couldn't even imagine going home after that, after you experience that, and mentally that would just break you down.
It's got to
I
change who
mean,
you are.
yeah, and I could only imagine the smells in that house. I remember in Texas Chainsaw, and I know, like I said, they did things differently and stuff. But that one room when I think it was the one girl discovered that room upstairs, and the whole entire thing was all just bones. Remember that scene? And it was
Yeah.
all, and it's just like, gosh. Now I know they changed stuff around, but still, I'm sure it probably wasn't too far off from that in that farmhouse. You know,
Now, you mentioned earlier about his dad or Ed having a chili cook-off type thing and serving chili.
yeah.
Just quickly looking, that is not confirmed. It is just an urban legend of
Okay.
that he would serve human flesh in the chili. It is just a
Oh,
rumor.
didn't they do that in South Park?
Yeah. Criminology. Chris is going to take us to South Park now.
That's where Cartman fed Scott Fetterman to his parents or whatever that case was. I can't
Oh man,
remember. Jeez.
he's feeling good now, folks. So
Hey, everybody.
yeah.
Hey.
So go ahead and continue on here. So the trial. So he was they deemed him as unfit for trial, and the trial for the warden lady lasted 1 week, and
Yeah.
then so he went to the state hospital, and then I'm assuming he probably just died there, natural causes or age or.
He died of heart failure in 19. No, sorry. So one of the guys that was questioning Sheriff Art Shirley reportedly assaulted Gein by banging his head and face into a brick wall during the investigation.
Yeah, I that's why I asked, because I figured somebody had to do something, because with all the sick shit that this guy did,
Mm-hmm. It's
Sorry about that. Charlie Horse and Classroom Jackie thinks it's funny.
now, as a result, Gein's initial confession was ruled admissible. Surely the sheriff detective, ended up dying of heart failure in 1968 at the age of 43 before Gein went on trial. Many who knew him said he was traumatized by the horrors of Gein's crimes, and this, along with the fear of having to testify, especially after assaulting Gein, caused his death early. Now, we talked about the few confirmed victims.
Yeah.
There are a few of the ones that are suspected. The one I mentioned earlier that he was deemed clear of is the case of Evelyn Grace Hartley. She was 14 years old and went missing while babysitting a 20-month-old little girl at the home of a La Crosse State College professor at the time. On the evening of October 24th, 1953, that evening her father Richard called the Rasmussens, which was the professor, the resident, several times after she failed to check in at 8:30 p.m. He received no answer. He drove to the house to find that the doors were locked, the lights and radio were on, and items scattered all over the house. The living room furniture had been moved around to different places, as were Evelyn's school books. Richard found her shoes in different rooms, one shoe upstairs and one downstairs. He found his daughter's broken glasses upstairs as well. He did not find Evelyn in the house, though. After his arrest, Gein was questioned regarding her disappearance, but denied involvement and passed those 2 lie detector tests. Police didn't find any evidence of Hartley's remains during the search of Gein's property, so he was cleared of that. He was also suspected of the murder of one male victim.
Oh, really?
Yeah, normally all of his victims are females, but other than Henry, which was unconfirmed but assumed to be confirmed.
Huh.
This person was named Victor Harold Travis, a resident of the Adams County. He went off to deer hunt in the company of an acquaintance, Raymond Burgess, on November 1st, 1952. The late afternoon, the pair stopped for a refreshment at Mac's Bar in Plainfield for a few hours. Around 7, they both left the bar and ended up hunting next to Gein's farm, despite his objections to hunting on the day of the disappearance. So it's possible he was buried out there somewhere and no one knew.
Yeah. Wow.
Now, the other 2 cases, they ended up clearing him of not being a suspect for, so I'm not going to read into them because they found the actual killers for those. Back to his trial, he was arraigned on the 1 count of first-degree murder. He pleaded not guilty because of insanity, like you said. He did end up going to the college, which is now known as the Dodge Correctional Institute. During the search of his property while he was on trial and arraigned, there's actually pictures of people from the town coming and peeking into the windows. And I found a bunch of those from the newspaper and the actual newspaper article.
Damn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's yeah, this guy I think on the scale of we should start a scale of 1 to 10 when we go through these serial killers, 10 being like the most fucked up type thing.
Yeah.
I think this guy's probably up there at like 10. I don't know. Would you agree?
Yeah,
Disagree?
He's probably at the pinnacle of fucked upness on the effed up scale.
Yeah. That's what we'll start. We'll start the fucked up scale, But yeah, I don't know, Jackie. What do you put him at? I put him at a 10. Chris puts him at a 10.
I'm going to say a 10.
Yeah.
Definitely a 10.
Just because he wasn't normal in the way that he did things. I mean, killing is not normal to begin with, but I mean, like, as opposed to other killers, he was above and beyond with this stuff. I mean, Dahmer had his weird quirks and shit that he did, and putting the bodies in that 55-gallon drum full of the what was it, chemical to try to preserve them and stuff. Yeah.
Formaldehyde.
Yeah, formaldehyde, and then kept it in his apartment, and it's like, okay, and then everybody kept bitching about the smell. And then you had Gacy that kept him underneath in the crawl space. And what's crazy about that is, neighbors used to complain all the time that there's god awful smells coming from that house, and the sheriff and stuff would come there, but they would never put 2 and 2 together because Gacy was a well-known liked person in the town, which, I'm not going to get too far into that case right now, but yeah, they all had their different things, but, Gein killing these, women and the one guy, and then using their body parts to make different furniture and stuff. It's like, ultimately, I mean, what's it? Levin Furniture's lucky he didn't take them out of business. If you really think about it,
So, you remember how he only got tried for first-degree murder and only one of the victims?
Yeah. And honestly, God, we make light of this stuff, honestly.
Well,
but,
yeah.
I mean, truly, it is a disgusting thing. And
it is,
it's
yeah.
Abomination, honestly, but we joke, but at the same time, we do understand that this is
Yeah, it is messed up, but
horrible.
On the show, that's what we do here. We got to throw in some jokes every once in a while and stuff, because this stuff, if you sit and think about it and let it sit in your head, I mean, some people, it'll end up, driving them nuts.
It can get too deep or too serious too fast if you don't joke about some stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, look at we have a comment here on YouTube from David. It says, to prepare for tonight's show, he watched the in-depth show last night. Mistake. He said it was a big mistake. There's no words to describe the absolute horror of this man. So Netflix is what I'm taking it. David probably watched that on, because there's quite a few documentaries out about him. But I think there's a new one on Netflix that's coming
Monsters.
out.
It comes out next week on the 3rd.
Monsters, yeah, on the 3rd. So David, I can only imagine, to watching that probably mentally, and that's what it can do. It can affect you, So,
Yeah, it took years, honestly. Like you can even ask Jackie. When when I went through college, through my 20s, and I studied all this stuff and nonstop. And you talk about it in class, and you go home and you talk about it at home, and you do homework and you write papers on it and all that kind of stuff. I actually got to a point where I wouldn't watch the news. I wouldn't read the news. I wouldn't pay attention to any of that stuff. I didn't get into crime documentaries. I wouldn't listen to podcasts. I separated myself from all that because it actually got to the point where it was like really depressing. I mean, after trying to digest like what humans are capable of and seeing all that in such abundance, you know, it actually kind of broke me down a little bit to the point where I felt like I had to separate myself from it in order to be okay,
yeah,
with life in general.
yeah.
I mean, it
I'm
took
sure.
years for me to get you to listen to podcasts and stuff with me or even talk about it.
Yeah,
Yeah, when you're, I'm sure when you're studying that and you're looking at it at a whole different outlook, when you're really getting into it, studying it like you were in those courses and stuff, it's going to mess with you. And when you end up leaving, it's like when I used to do EMS firefighting and stuff, the same thing. When I would see different deaths and bad scenes, when I would leave there, you have to separate yourself. And there's a lot of times I would go home, and they always say don't take it home with you, don't let it affect your mental state of mind. But easier said than done.
yeah, easy
I
to
mean,
say that. Right?
yeah, damn, it's like you try seeing this body or this or that. So like what we talked about before, eh, you know kudos to those people that had to go into Gein's farmhouse, because I couldn't even imagine. I mean,
Yeah,
shit, uh, it probably mentally destroyed them too. But yeah, it's so what's kind of your take on this thing, Chris, since you studied a lot of that stuff in school? I mean, kind of what's your take? I mean, obviously the guy mentally ill, and had a lot to do with, I believe, I mean, he blames his mom, but I personally believe that a lot of it has to do with his dad and how his dad forced him to do a lot of stuff and the upkeep, I mean, I
So,
don't know.
can I interject for 1 second?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, his dad didn't really tell him to do much other than take care of the chores and things like that. Like, he wasn't go get that girl or
Oh,
go get
really?
that person.
Well, I messed that up then.
He did not commit his crimes or anything like this until after his mother died, after he was alone by himself. And we did mention that he was only tried for one of the murders.
Yeah.
How old was he when his mother died? What year?
His mother died in, hold on 1 second. But I'll get that in a second. But he was only tried for prohibitive costs. Gein was tried for the one murder, that of Miss Warden, and then admitted to Mary Hogan. But he only got tried because of the costs for one of them.
So what do you mean by like the cost you're saying?
Like the cost to have the trial.
Oh, okay. That's what I wasn't sure about. Okay.
Back then, it cost too much for them to be charged or tried for more than one crime at a time.
And I'm sure this was huge in that town too.
Oh, it was.
I'm sure this was like massive because at that time, I'm sure nothing like this had ever gone down.
And again, his mother died in 1945.
Okay, 1945 was when his mom died. So.
And he was born in 1906.
Okay. So his mom was probably.
She was 66.
67 when 67. She passed. Okay.
His dad died at 66. His mom died at 67. And then his brother died younger than them.
Yeah, I remember you saying that. Yeah. So, yeah, he was, ultimately stuck by himself, and that's when a lot of it happened. So he was probably getting into his own head at that point, is what I would imagine.
I think the obsession that he had, which was god awful, with the cannibalism and the Nazis, and the tanning and the way that she tortured Nazi prisoners, like the from Auschwitz and things like that to make the furniture really related to him some way
Hmm.
because he never got that female interaction with anybody other than his mother. So I think that if he followed her, he would get better things, be able to build the bodysuit of his mother and then become his mother and make his mother proud. She always wanted a girl. She did not want boys.
Okay. Oh, okay. So that kind of comes into play there a little bit too, you know. So he had this infatuation with his mom, but it kind of feels like she didn't really feel the same way though, you know. I mean, she kept him from doing a lot of different things and dating and, you know, sexual stuff.
There was no nurturing whatsoever for either of them. And it was worse on his brother Henry, but she took more control of Ed when he was born and pretty much doted on him for everything and made him just love his mother so much.
Okay. So yeah, so yeah, there's a lot going on here with this particular. So, Chris, as I was asking you before, you don't even want to know what gesture criminology Chris is doing in the
What
studio
is
right
wrong
now.
with this guy?
Anyways, Chris, you're before we kind of wrap things up here with this Ed Gein, because I think we covered a lot here. What's your take on this coming from your background and stuff, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like you look back at Ed Gein. Obviously his childhood was terrible. Okay, well, they point to mental issues that he had when he was prosecuted. Um, typically, illnesses like schizophrenia. Schizophrenia typically manifests in a person, usually between the ages of like 19 and 21 years old. And those type of illnesses, I mean, are incredibly apparent. Uh, I actually had someone that I knew that turned out to be schizophrenic in their early 20s, and they would sit around and they would be eating, and halfway through eating a sandwich, they would stop eating, and they would sit there with like a sandwich half in their mouth, and they'd stare off into space, and you wouldn't even you'd look at it and be like, "Are you okay?" And it's like nobody was home. Their eyes would be open, and they just stare off into space. You try to reach them, you try to talk to them, wave something in front of their face. Nobody was there. Like, I mean, it's a very serious illness. Now, I don't know. Once again, I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a doctor or anything like that. But you know, but there was nobody around to notice whether or not this guy had these kind of mental issues. If he did, obviously his mother and his father weren't doing anything about it. I mean, when did his mother die? He said in the 40s.
Yes.
So he was like 36.
She died. Yeah. So she died, ended up
You say 44?
45.
We're
45?
we're making Classroom Jackie work
45.
with her notes tonight.
45. So
1945.
he was probably 38, 39 years old or something like that. So I don't know that I could specifically point to like schizophrenia or some sort of issue like that. And does that necessarily make somebody a killer? Absolutely not. You know, it could be a myriad of things. I truly believe that the impact of his childhood, coupled with the mental break of his mother dying, uh, added in, that influence from that Nazi junk that he was watching and that kind of thing, really kind of pushed him over the edge. And maybe he didn't understand exactly what he was doing, but all in all, I mean, obviously he ended up in the right place, which was some kind of mental hospital. Or as long as he never got out of there, I think that's the best case scenario.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So, um,
Thanks, David. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Classroom Jackie, what's your input on this?
I agree with what criminology Chris said, but I also do think it has something to do with the way he was brought up by his mother. I think that had a huge impact on him. And then when he was left alone with nobody, he didn't know what to do, so he obsessed over the cannibalism, the tanning, the bodies, the furniture, and just went crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's and it's I don't know, so he was pretty normal to a point before his mother died.
He was known as slightly, so kind of slow, not very smart, things like those.
But it wasn't violent.
Right.
Yeah.
He was actually a babysitter. He would babysit
God.
children. He was fantastic with children. Anybody who had them watch him never reported an issue. They said they were fun. The kids had fun. The kids loved him. He was great with children because he had the mentality of a child.
Yeah, and he never went past 8th grade.
No.
So technically, yeah, okay.
In that end, like some of these nicknames that he had after the murders.
Yeah, what are some of them that he had?
He used to go by Eddie when he was before the murders. Everybody in town knew him as Eddie.
Well, that's easy.
He was also
That's not even a creative nickname.
He was also known as the Mad Butcher, the Plainfield Ghoul, the Plainfield Butcher, the Butcher of Plainfield, and then there was another one, but I could not find it, but I heard it the other day about him. I can't remember what they said, but it was something along the Ghoul of Plainfield, where he would peek into windows and things like that as well.
Could you imagine just sitting at home and then this guy's peeking in the window of your house?
I mean,
and you're just like, what the hell?
Yeah.
We had a giant cat try and attack the window, and I went running in the bedroom to get up, thinking somebody was breaking in.
Yeah. Criminology Chris is about to be booted for a show. He's been really acting up tonight. No, so and I kind of agree with you guys too as well. I mean, that's what my input is on it as well. Out of all people that try to plead insanity per se, I believe this guy really was.
I really do believe it.
Yeah, he definitely was.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, so him being in the mental, facility, that's where he needed to be. Should he have been behind bars though, like you were saying too, Chris? Absolutely. But I don't know. I don't think he would have lasted long in prison.
I think solitary confinement would have been too good for him.
How long did he live after he actually went to prison?
They should have just stuck him in the hole.
Please hold.
Yeah, please. That was pretty good.
I'm not forcing Jackie to do research.
I'm gonna do this better next time.
Yeah, she said she's gonna do it better next time. We're gonna be changing all sorts of stuff every episode that we do, and we'll be getting more better with different more better. Wow, I sound great.
He died July 26, 1984, at the age of 77.
84. So when did he go to jail? When was he actually prosecuted? When was
Classroom Jackie's gonna have to tape all these notes to the wall and just stare at it.
Next time I'm gonna use my iPad.
Yeah. Yeah, she's gonna use the iPad next time though. Please hold. Okay, we'll continue talking. But anyway, so yeah, I think we're all three of us are in the same boat, and we rate this on the effed up scale.
Yeah,
a number 10. This is way up there. If I could go above 10, I would definitely put it above 10. I mean, all serial killers technically though should be high up there, but yeah. Okay, we're back.
Ding, ding, ding. So he was arraigned on November 21st, 1957, and was sent to the trial began in 1968 and lasted 1 week. He then ended up getting committed to the mental asylum after that.
So
okay.
67.
67, 68. So 68. He lived for another 16 years or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Before that guy offed him or whatever.
Do you know how many times his gravestone, which is like a brick, has been stolen?
Really?
76 times.
Oh, geez.
But how big is it? I mean,
I have a picture.
And oh my gosh, this is crazy. So people but they end up getting it back?
They make a new one. The last time it was stolen was in 1999. But it's just the size of a brick. It just has birth and death year, and that's it. And
they got probably tired of making decent ones.
Well,
I
he
mean,
never.
Let's just give him a brick at this
I
point.
think
Who
after
gives a
like number
shit?
like 62, you just kind of decide to make it simple.
Compared to
Yeah,
his
let's
mother.
just nail up a piece of cardboard here with some writing on it because this is getting ridiculous.
So even though they didn't have much money, the mother, father, and Henry all had nicer headstones when they were died and buried. Gein didn't get that because of his status as a serial killer and in the mental institute. He didn't get the same treatment as if somebody else normal died or his parents died. So he got that little tiny brick. It just so happens everybody wants it.
Jeez. Yeah, they want to put it in their house and be like, look at this, look at that, you know. So, but anyways,
Just carve some shit into a brick and put it in your living room.
yeah, yeah, and say that you took it from the gravesite, yeah. But no, we appreciate everybody listening. Definitely. If you haven't, oh, sorry, go ahead.
David, my dad, just texting goes, Chris does have some pretty sizable pieces of concrete. We could make our own.
Right, yeah.
I'm gonna not let you in my house now because you're creeping me out. So, David, but anyways,
We
no,
love you.
we appreciate everybody listening. Definitely, if you haven't, and I'll keep pushing it down everybody's throat. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna sound like a broken record with it. But follow us on Facebook. We have the Facebook fan page. Classroom Jackie's hitting up all the social media management.
I am.
She's gonna be putting out a lot of the posts throughout the weeks and stuff, letting you know. Follow us, like us, share it, please, to everybody. David, you've already done a fantastic job on sharing it because I think you know every person in the world. I don't know how, and I don't want to know how.
So, fun fact, my dad is a retired professional wrestler.
Oh, well, okay, that explains a lot then.
Also, I think he's going to be the first one to get one of our t-shirts because of how much he has supported and shared us and gotten people to follow us.
That is awesome. And remind me never to fuck with him. So, yeah, he'll kick my ass straight through the wall. But anyways, YouTube channel here as well too. Subscribe. It's free. We want to keep building it up. Eventually when you hit like 1,000 or something, then excuse me, things really take off and I can get mods and all kinds of different
We can
stuff
do
like
TikTok
that.
lives where they can watch us and join
Yeah.
us that way.
TikTok, we're on there too. If you ever have any questions, anything like that, message Jackie and all that, or me, myself. So we appreciate it. Another awesome show tonight as we discussed Ed Gein. Thank you guys again. Don't forget we're on all the streaming platforms out there. So if you're not watching live during the show, you can check us out on any of those streaming platforms when you're doing whatever, driving in the car, showering, taking a shit. It don't matter.
Maybe we ought to do like a maybe do kind of some kind of follow up after that special comes out. Because I'd be interested to see kind of.
Oh yeah, we could definitely do that. Maybe that's something on next week's show we can kind of cover since it's coming out on the 3rd. You said
we could do it at the beginning of the episode. Also, don't forget we are doing that giveaway.
Yeah,
so
please fill in the fans more on that giveaway because I don't know too much about it. I let Jackie just do whatever with that stuff. So fill us in and help us just do what she says to do, or else her professional wrestler dad will kick everyone's ass.
So keep an eye on the group page as well as the podcast page, because this week our official shirt and car decals will be launching. That's going to be coming up.
Okay.
What we're going to do is, if we can get 100 followers in the fan page, we're going to have the giveaway, and whoever has the top amount that were invited or comments and says they joined and got people in, we're going to pick one of those followers to win a shirt and a car decal.
Very cool.
The more you share, the more you invite, the more chances you get to win.
Yeah, and you'll have to post pictures of what that stuff looks like too.
That's going to be coming out on Wednesday.
So, okay. Wednesday, keep an eye on the Facebook pages and all that too. So once again, thank you everybody for listening in to another episode here, the Murder Podcast Show. We appreciate it. I'm your host, Tim. Alongside of me, Criminology Chris.
Thank you, everybody.
And Classroom Jackie.
Have a great night. We'll see you next week.
We will see you next week. We are now going to go stuff our faces with all kinds of shit.
And sit around a fire.
And sit around a fire. Not actual shit. We're not going to eat shit.
We also
So-
got to discuss who we're covering next week.
Yes. So, anyways, thank you guys again. We appreciate it, and we will see you next week, same time, same place.
Same crime channel.
See ya.